Hello. Today we're going to go ahead and look at Lesson 13 of Geometry Module 1. That's on page 108, and we're looking at Exercise 3, which looks like we're going to go ahead and take this figure M. It has a rotation of it, and we're going to have to figure out where the point of rotation was. So the first thing I'm going to do is set that up. So I'm going to go ahead over to Sketchpad, so I'm just going to switch over. I might sketch open, and I could copy this shape from here. I could just go ahead and maybe copy this and paste it into Sketchpad and then rotate that. I could do that, but I like it better when my points are actually on the shape, because I would have to create points and they'd be on top of things. I think it's just better to take a minute or two and actually create the shape. So I'm going to go ahead with my my line tool. I'm going to go ahead and select out the double-headed arrow there. I'm going to click and hold, and if I hold down the shift key, it kind of constrains. Like if I don't hold down shift, I can get some fine movement here, but I'm going to go ahead and hold down shift because then I get like either 15 degrees or so, or 30 degrees of jump. So I'm just going to use this as a guideline. Maybe I'll use another as a guideline for my top there, and I'm going to erase those guidelines later. To go ahead and make the M shape, I'm going to go click on this polygon tool. I like the fill on because I think it'll make the M shape show up a little better. So I'm going to go ahead and start on the guideline. I'm going to click for my first point there. I'm going to hold down the shift key so it kind of keeps this in line also. I'm going to go ahead and put the second one up here on this other guideline. I'll kind of go across to start making the M shape. I'll kind of, again, I'm holding down that constraint angle because I think it'll just look nicer for the M. And I'll do the same here. Maybe go over a little bit. And I'm just clicking and releasing to get these points into an M shape. Down here. Again, that's why I use my guidelines so I know where these are so that they're line up. Click here for this other point next to the B. Go up here a little bit. Kind of come back down. Hopefully line it up with that one a little bit. Go back up. Kind of bring it back down. And, that's, oops, and I gotta go back to the first. And go ahead and create that M shape, and that's pretty good. I think that's a pretty decent M shape. If I don't like it, I could always just go with the select tool. I can move them around a little bit, maybe kind of fix it a little bit. But I think for our purposes, this is pretty good. Maybe move that one over a little bit, but that's fine. I'm going to click off so I don't have anything selected. I'm going to go ahead and click on this guideline that I don't need to select. I make sure I have the selection tool. I get that sort of horizontal arrow. I like to hold down the shift key when I select multiple things in case I miss, because if you click in white space, it deselects everything you've done so far. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn off these points, and I really don't need all the points of the M either, because it really only needs the A and B, which is this one and this one. So I'm just going to go ahead and click all these to select them, and I'm going to go up to my display and hide those objects. So now I really just have the M and the A and B. So I'm going to turn on the label tool. I'm going to label those. I got to double click. I'll call it A, and I'll click here, and I'll double click, and I'll call this one B. I must have had a point out there or something, but that's not a big deal to relabel. Just double click, and you can relabel your point. All right, at this point, I am going to click on deselect everything, and I'm going to actually do a rotation on this. So I'm just going to go ahead and click a point. It looks like the intersection from page 108 is sort of out over here somewhere. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on that point to kind of temporarily put it out there. I'm going to go to my select tool. I'm going to go to my select tool, and I'm going to double click on this point. When I double click on that, notice how it kind of animates right around it. That marked that as a center of rotation. I could have also had this point selected and gone to transform and mark that as a center. That works too. Alright, and I'm actually going to go ahead and select just the figure M and the points A and B just to make sure everything works. I'm going to go to the transform, and I'm going to go ahead and rotate that. And it looks like, from the picture, it probably looks like 70, I don't know, about that on the rotation. So I just went ahead and put that 70 in, and it looks a lot like it does in the picture there. So I'm just going to go ahead and actually hit that rotation. And I'm going to also turn on these points. So I'm going to go to the label tool. I'm going to label this point and this point, so I have my A prime and B prime labeled. I'm also going to go hit the arrow, and I'm going to go back, which I know is the center, but I'm going to go ahead and display and go ahead and hide that point. Actually, let me click. I was going to hide multiple things. I don't want to do that. I'm going to click off into white space. Just select that one point. Display and hide that point. Okay, so now I don't see where that rotation point is anymore, and I can actually go ahead and do the problem after setting it up. So to save time with students, if I were having them do this, I would probably maybe set this sketch up and have them download it or have it in their shared folder or share it with them using the Google Classroom or something. All right, so let's go ahead now that we have it set up, and it took about 5 minutes to set up, not too bad, and if I were to save it, I can just use this over and over. So let's go ahead with the procedure. It looks like we're going to go ahead and connect points A and A prime with the segment tool. So right now I had the line tool still selected, so I'm just going to click and hold. Go ahead and select the segment tool from there. Now it's the segment tool. So I'm going to go ahead with A, so I'm going to click on point A, and I'm going to go ahead and let go and click down on point A prime. So now I have AA prime set up, and I have to go ahead and construct the perpendicular bisector of that segment. So to do that, without using the shortcut tools, I'm just going to use the compass tool. I'm going to go ahead and click on point A and click for the center of the circle, and I'm going to have the radius AA prime, and I'm going to do the same thing starting with the center at A prime, dragging up to A. Now I get these 2 points of intersection. I'm going to go ahead and use the selection arrow. I already have one circle selected. I'm going to hold down shift and select the other one, so now I have both circles selected, and I'm going to go to construct intersections. So once I do that, it went ahead and put the intersections of those 2 circles on for me. And I'm just going to use the construct menu again, and I'm going to go ahead and construct a line through those. So now I have the perpendicular bisector of AA prime. I'm going to go ahead and click off of that for a second, so I don't have that selected anymore. And I'm going to do the same thing for BB prime. I have the segment tool. I go ahead and click on my segment tool. I'm going to construct, draw a line from B to B prime, and now I just have to go ahead and do the perpendicular bisector of that the same way I did before with A. So I'm going to click on the compass tool. I'm going to start with B, draw a circle with radius BB prime, do the same thing B prime, back to B. Good, and I'm going to use that same, I could use my point tool and find the intersection here, but that could kind of get confusing down here. There's a lot of lines down there, so I'm actually going to use that same trick I used before. I'm just going to go ahead and, I like to hold down shift, select both circles. I'm going to go ahead and construct the intersections, and now the intersections are still selected, so I'm going to go ahead and construct the line of those. And now I have this perpendicular bisector of BB prime, and I have the perpendicular bisector of AA prime, and where those 2 perpendicular bisectors intersect, I'm just going to use the point tool. I'm just going to go ahead and find where those 2 lines meet. Both of those lines are highlighted. I'll click there. I know that's the point. I'm going to go ahead and label that point P as it asked me to, so I'm just going to go ahead and turn this on. It wants to name it E. I just double click. I will change that back to point P. And that went ahead and found the center of rotation. It also asks a little extra question: justify my construction by measuring angles A, P, A prime, and B, P, B prime. So let's go ahead and actually measure those angles. I'm not going to draw in the segments, I don't have to do that. But if I click outside, so I have nothing selected, I'm going to go ahead and find my points in order. So I'm going to go over to where A is, I'm going to click to select point A, and then I'm going to go select P and A prime, and as long as I did it in that order, I should get angle A, P, A prime. I'm just going to go ahead and measure that angle, and it shows up and tells me it's 70 degrees. Let me go ahead and do the same thing for angle B, P, B prime. So I'm going to go ahead and I clicked off, so I don't have anything selected. I'm going to click B. I like to hold down shift just in case I miss. Then I'm going to get angle point P, and then I'm going to keep holding shift and get B. And I'm going to go ahead and measure that angle, and I also get 70 degrees. So to answer the question, yes, it does. All right, so that completes exercise 3 on page 108. All right, hope you found it helpful.